Uh, uh, it's not working. Hang on a sec.
Oh.
What? Sorry, you can hear us, but what? Oh, I chose the wrong thing. Sorry. We're here now. Okay.
Sweet.
I accidentally chose the wrong show thing, so it was pulling from the wrong Discord chat. But hey, we're here. What's up, everybody? Happy. What day is
Hey.
it? It's Wednesday.
20.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
What's up, everybody? How you doing? Chat and everyone, welcome to Rehash the Roles. We're here with the wonderful Michael. Everybody else calls you Mike, and I can't do it. It's very weird for me to call you Mike.
Yeah.
I call
Shelly
you
doesn't
Michael.
either, and they don't care.
The reason it's so weird is because me and Michael have actually known each other for, well, like 5 years or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, just
About
about
5
5
years.
years. Through your wife is how we know each other.
Yes.
His wife and I, we were roommates and really, really like bestest friends in college and stuff. So that's how it happened. Michael is the reason that I'm on Ready to Roll at all. So thank you for that. How you doing?
Yeah, no problem.
How are you? How are you doing this wonderful Wednesday?
I'm pretty good. Just, it's been raining here the past 3-4 days, so I was able to actually get out a little bit tonight and, some energy out, so that was good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, have you guys been getting hit by like Hurricane Zeta? Has this come by?
Maybe that would explain all the rain.
I just know they canceled Halloween. They moved Halloween. It was supposed to be tomorrow, and then because it's going to be raining because of the hurricane, they're moving it. They're moving it to Sunday. They can't have it on the actual Halloween because that's the day of Penn State versus Ohio State football, and they didn't want people to get hit by drunk drivers or miss the game, so they moved it.
That makes sense.
Well, it's good that you got out and stuff. How have you been feeling? Like, yeah, this is your first time on Rehash. How have you been enjoying the campaign so far?
I've been liking it a lot. So for those in the chat, Lydia, you know this. For those in the chat, I've been playing with Patrick for 13 years or so. So a while, and he's DM'd a lot for us. So this is one of the best campaigns that I've been in so far. No offense to any of the players that I play with normally, or no offense to Patrick. It's just a really fun world and really cool world to be in, and it's different than his usual campaigns, which is nice.
In what way is it different?
So the players know this, but I'm unofficial lore master of this world, and it's different from his normal campaigns because world we have played, I think, 4 campaigns in, and so it's like, okay, we know the rules of this world really well, whereas this one is completely new for Ready to Roll. And so having that that intro and having this be the first campaign that we have in it, on top of me having, been a lot more experienced and mature as a player, Patrick being a lot further along in his DMing career and being better and having a new group of people to play with as well, it feels new, which is not inherently better, but it's new in a good way.
Gotcha. I feel like it's always very difficult to like adjust to a new world, especially with like the complex history and lore, like even just the gods and stuff is so hard for me to keep my head around. I realized that I usually choose to play characters that are not very religious or believers much at all, and that kind of helps me to be like, I don't need to know about this deity because my character wouldn't care, you know. So that I hadn't realized that until like a couple of sessions in, when I was like, oh wow, it really, I think comparing Zhelaniye to Kadiock, because Kadiock's like, I know all of the stuff, I know all the things about the Ordine path and the elders and all of that. So I think, I don't have this written down on one of the question cards, but I want you to tell us, what is the Ordine path? Who are the elders? What is all of this shenanigans? Just get it out now when everyone's listening.
Okay, well, let's see. What can I give away without spoiling anything?
That's the number one question of this show.
Right? So, the Ordine path is what Kadiock follows as his code, I guess. Okay. Code of morals, the way that he is moving forward and progressing both as a person and a character. Is part of his tribal identity. Due to a few different things in his background. Okay. The Ordine path is a shared thing through many tribes.
Okay.
But because of something that happened, he is now on this specific path.
Gotcha.
The elders, I can tell this much because I said most of it in the session anyway. But the elders are known to the rest of Mordovir as the Lords of the Fae, or the Fae Lords, depending on how you want to say it. Or at least most of the elders are Fae Lords and Lords of the Fae. Yeah, I guess that.
So does that make the Norsean tribes more like Fae influence then? Are they, because with your stereotypical view of what a Fae is, Kadiock doesn't really fit into that. This like rough and gruff, like barbarian fur-covered guy doesn't really seem like your typical Fae. Is that typical of the tribes, that Kadiock is very normal, or are they, or just are Fae different in this world?
So they're elders, but the Fae were elders, and they started a lot of the tribes and a lot of the different paths thousands of years before the campaign has happened.
Gotcha. So there's been some drift.
The focus on nature, on the wilds, on the being nomadic, the tribal, the loyalty, the focus on honor and being true to what you say and stuff. That a lot of that came from the Fae. This was also earlier on in the Fae's existence, so to speak.
Okay.
So they may very well have changed since then. I don't know as much about that. Patrick, about that one. I do know that when they started the Ordine path and the various other paths, as well as helped found the tribes and all of that, they wanted to. It wasn't necessarily done for power or anything so much as they gained followers and things branched off from there.
Okay.
And the Maeve said that the rest of the characters didn't hear this, but she told they did hear this when Kadiock offered to show her the first steps of the Ordine path. She said, "Oh, well, I created the path or whatever." So she is one of the creators of the Ordine path. So
okay, but she
I can say that.
But she did say that she follows her own as well,
yes.
Which is hard for me to know whether that's like I just do what I want, or if she has something else specifically. I feel like it's possibly more of the second.
I can't speak to.
Fae are kind of like, I do what I want. Yeah, Pat's in the chat right now, and everyone's just like, "Dear Patrick, please spill all the beans."
Yeah, hey, tell me too.
So we do need to get in through some of these questions because we're already running a little short on time. So we'll go with question 1. This is from me. Kadiock seems to be both reserved and yet very willing to voice his opinions. Have his suspicions about his companions abated? How does he feel about them?
Yeah, let's go through all of them.
Go by one by one.
So, yeah. So, start with Piotr. Piotr is definitely less of a suspicion now.
Okay.
Kadiock views him as, okay, you really are just a bit naive in the ways of, combat and adventuring and, rougher side of things. He's like, I understand that. You're young, so to speak. We can work with this.
Did that change at all? This is a later question, but did that change at all when the group all found out that he killed somebody, that he's considered a murderer?
Judgment is still out on that.
Okay.
Kadiock needs to hear both sides.
Gotcha.
Because Kadiock doesn't necessarily trust, or he trusts, but he doesn't view the words of angels and Mordviran deities and celestials as completely binding and one-sided.
Gotcha.
I guess, for lack of a better term, he views the dragon gods as elders, as elders as well.
Okay, so
They're
they
elders
don't
of a
have
different
precedence in any way.
Yes.
Okay.
Whether that is true or not, or accurate or whatever, is left to be seen. But as far as Kadiock knows right now, that is his view on things.
Okay.
His experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, let's see. So, but yeah. So as of right now, he's like, I've killed people too. Why'd you kill him? Do you have a good reason for killing him, or are you just a murderer? Because if you're just a murderer, then we'll have problems.
Yeah.
As of right now, from what he's seen, he doesn't see Piotr as being a cold-blooded murderer. But again, as of right now, Kadiock views him as, okay, great, you're a music-loving, kind of ready for action person.
Yeah. I don't think Zhelaniye was very shaken by that reveal at all, because she's like, oh, he was like a courtier guy. He was like trying to convince people to go to war and stuff. Like, that's not super far out of the possibility that he would have killed someone. Also, killing someone's not necessarily a huge deal to her as well, I think. I imagine there's some people in the party that it is a bigger problem to, though. And I'm very excited to see when that comes up. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, Kadiock. He's from a raiding and nomadic, lack of a better term, land Viking civilization. Like, he's done raids before. He's killed people. Like, he's not shy about that, because in his eyes, everyone that he kills for a good reason, or at least a good enough reason.
A good enough reason. Okay.
Good enough reason, yes. Might not be a necessarily good reason, or good reason to other people, but for him it's a good enough reason.
Yeah.
Orvit, he is still a bit wary of, just because he's not the biggest fan of the Mordviran Rich. However, he has definitely proven himself valuable in combat, and he's been open to the fact that he has a magic item that seems to be, at least to Kadiock's view, something that is acceptable in his culture as well, in Kadiock's culture. And so he's like, okay, he's not strictly Mordviran nobility and rich guy, so I'm willing to work with him. And he hasn't given Kadiock any reason not to trust him or not to like him.
Okay.
And the fact that he offered Eladin the spear before we knew that it was Eladin to Kadiock when he was going to break into when they were going to break into the church,
Right.
also helped give him some street cred, so to speak, because he's like, "You're willing to give me your weapon? Okay, that's that's a big sign of something or other."
Yeah, you'll disarm yourself to arm me. Okay.
Exactly. Zhelaniye, he definitely noticed how she stayed with the Banshee, and how she is honorable, honoring, has honor for the dead, and respect for the dead, because ancestors' spirits, as you all know, are big to him and his people, and making sure that they're put to rest correctly, and if they aren't, taking care of that. He again is very appreciative of her capacity in battle, and also appreciative of the fact that she is an outsider as well, and he's not the only outsider, because Kadiock is very much an outsider when it comes to Mordvir. And
so he does know that
Mordviran
she's
culture.
Mordviran, right?
Yes, yeah, no,
Okay.
he knows that,
Okay.
and that's again obvious, just due to the fact that she's knowledgeable of all of the various customs and all of that. But the fact that she's a tiefling or tiefling, however you want to say it, I prefer tiefling, but that's just me. Just throw that out there.
I learned tiefling.
Definitely, that is makes her an outsider, and so he's willing to be outsiders together.
Okay.
That leaves not Corbett. What's his name? What?
Drift.
I'm sorry. What's the Drew's name?
Drift.
Thank you. It's been a long day at work, guys. Drift. Kadiock is he definitely views Drith as a cub. Little, definitely naive of the world, has power, obviously, isn't quite aware of how to use his power, is more open and not cautious where he should be, in Kadiock's opinion. Because while Kadiock is ignorant of a lot of Mordeviran customs, he knows not to ask someone that looks like a demon, "Hey, are you a demon?"
Yeah. I don't know if those are
So,
like necessarily like regional customs as much as just social norms and cautiousness.
That's also true. Yeah, so Kadiock's like, "Okay, you need to stay behind me," basically, and make sure. Kadiock definitely has a bit of a fondness for Drith, even if he's not willing to show it as much yet. He definitely reminds Kadiock of some of his brothers, and is willing to help fight to keep Drith safe. With Artyom, because of Artyom's obvious devotion to the Mordeviran gods, he is okay. Great, you're a holy man to your people. That's fine. He's not totally convinced that Artyom is blind either. Though I guess Zhelaniye might be now, but because of those rolls.
Wait, what?
Just because you rolled so poorly on your insight checks a few times, I'm like, who knows? She might think he's just really good. He's just got a really good magical nose now.
At this point, she's pretty convinced that he's not, because they had like a conversation where like she was like avoiding eye contact, and he's like worming his way, and like he can't do that if he can't see. You know, you don't smell different if your eyes are turned a different way. You know,
right? So yeah, Kadiock is a bit wary of him as well, but hasn't had a good enough reason not to trust him, and enough reasons to trust him. And Kadiock obviously wasn't there for I wasn't there for the conversation, but Kadiock was with the Domovoy. and the fact that the Domovoy, who is a lesser fae, vouched for Artyom, does do a lot for Kadiock, because the Domovoy is, by nature of being a fae, has followed at least some of the elders at one point.
Okay.
So, yes.
Interesting.
Everyone, right?
Yeah, I think that's everybody. Next question is, what emotions or thoughts was Kadiock having when you met an elder of your people?
Holy crap! It's an elder. So when they first went into the house, Kadiock obviously could tell that she was very powerful and magical, but the fact that she was known as a witch and was here in Mordvir was definitely not expecting to find an elder, or to even, or when he offered, the first step of the Ordine path, was not expecting that answer. The fact that she was one of the blazers of the path, it threw him off his guard quite a bit, but I'm trying to think of a good analogy. It'd be like a historian getting unexpectedly, like going to a lecture and finding out that the lecturer is Plato or Socrates or something like that. Like, oh wow, okay, you are definitely a historian. You may not be, the historian that I would choose to talk to, but you're someone famous in history that had a huge influence. I'm definitely going to talk to you as much as I can, and I have so many questions, because, well, Maeve is not one of the elders that Kadiock is most familiar with. He's heard of her.
Okay.
Not by the name Maeve, but he's heard of her, and so he's like, oh, okay, yes, please let me talk to you and pump you for information.
Gotcha. That actually leads right into the next question, which is, these are both by Brayden, by the way. We know that Kadiock would do a lot for an elder. What would he not do for her?
Do not deviate from the Erdine path.
Okay.
Do not.
Number one.
What? What'd you say?
I was just saying that's number one.
That's number one. He also, at this point, he wouldn't kill any of the party without a lot of good reasons.
That's good to know.
And I'll let this slide. I'll let this as a little teaser. He wouldn't. Let's see. How do I say this? He wouldn't betray his teacher.
Okay. Everybody in chat, take notes. Wouldn't betray his teacher. Okay. But you will lose an eye.
Oh, he will gladly lose an eye, because, again, one of the stories that he had was of the stone trees. So there are a lot of other stories like that in the Norsean culture, where if you gift willingly to an elder, they will return and improve. So with the whole thing about the smash the skulls and the oaken gulls, that one,
yeah,
story. The person that came into the clearing and carved the gulls and all of that was not an elder, but was a close follower of the elders. So that's why. So that's part of where that came from, like the powerful magic and all of that. The other things that the elders have done. A lot of the items in the like magic items in the DM's guide and all of that. So some of those things were made by the elders for the Norsean people. Like there's there's the jug that never empties, that sort of thing. There is at least one bag of holding floating around up there, as well as a tree trunk that acts like a bag of holding, but obviously doesn't move. It just sits there.
Cool. We're running out of time. But we're gonna stall because Nick's doing something over here for the next section. And we do have one more question from Brayden before. But this one is actually for Zhelaniye. It's for me. Why did Zhelaniye tell as much to Corvette as she did? What made her open up? And you can give your input on like that whole conversation as well, because that was kind of a bigger drop, I think, than I was anticipating. So why did she tell as much? What made her open up? So like she's never told anybody about this stuff. She referenced the fact that like things happened several years ago. In the several years since that has happened, she has not been able to tell anybody about it or talk to anyone about it. And partially because she has a lot of fear that if anybody knows, then she'll be found. But she also has not been around people very much since then. Essentially, she got chased out of the house by the profane guard, for a couple of them, and she fell off of a cliff into a river, and she got washed down the river. And got really, really injured, and she kind of laid low away from people for a very long time and has only kind of recently come back to people. And she has not been able to have any real conversations with like anybody in a very long time. At least not anybody nice. So, you know, comfort makes you open up. And also because, you know, seeing as he seemed to have some kind of similar experiences, she felt that if she gave a little bit more, that maybe he could give a little more and she could understand a little bit better. But yeah, also definitely Corvette is for sure her favorite party member by like a million miles. She hasn't had any super wonderful interactions with anyone else at this point. Not that it's been very long, but that is generally the case. Yeah, I was looking forward to that conversation for a while. Like, was it the second session or something that we went into the chapel and we found these dudes with purple robes, and Brayden asked, are they wearing silver masks? And I immediately was like, excuse me? What? What do you know about purple masks and things? So I've been wanting to ask him about that for a while. But I was not anticipating dropping that much. There's still a lot of stuff about her history that she did not share. Things that I find just having this conversation with Mike is going to be interesting when they come up. Because I think people's perceptions of her, while accurate to who she is currently, are not very accurate to who she is overall, which I think is very interesting. And Pat knows what I'm talking about. If he's still in the chat, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Probably. I assume. He knows all the things. He knows even things that we don't. So, that is the thing. Well,